For the record, we have all city council members present with the exception of Councilor Bart Stevens, who's out of state and is asked to be excused. We'd also like to excuse our city administrator, Roger Worthen, who is on a family vacation. I've asked Councilor Mitchell if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
The audience would please arise and follow me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we take a moment of silence this evening, I would ask that you remember those folks that were involved in Hurricane Michael. Hurricane Mike, I think of that hurricane and that comes in, and it was said about the strongest it's hit that area in I don't know how many years, 50 years, something like that. But those things happen just in a matter of couple days. It's all over and the devastation remains, and we don't hear any more about it hardly. We don't think about it, but I've been down in that area in Panama City 2 or 3 times. We used to go down to Tyndall Air Force Base there, and I think you read those areas were really hit hard, that base and Panama City. But I remember driving down the roads there, and boy, the homes that are there, they're just there's just not much to them. Those of you been down in the south, and you can just imagine. And then they showed that, I think, Mexico City, that other city, but there were just piles of rubble where people live. But just ask you to remember them tonight. I know there's assistance people helping them, but I think it'd be appropriate to remember them in our moment of silence, as well as our those who defend our nation, also those who are first responders in our city and serve faithfully in our behalf. And also we would, moment of silence, think about the city council as they make decisions this evening. They might be in the best interest of those they serve. We'll take a moment of silence now, please. Thank you very much. Next, move on to public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public to come forward and address the city council. Just invite you to come forward, state your name, and probably take not more than about 3 minutes. So the time is yours for public comment. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. Move on next to presentations and reports. Got just 2 or 3 items for the mayor's report. I think most of you know Krispy Kreme is expecting to open on the 23rd. That's a week from today. There's been some advertising out, different things they're doing, so they should be open not later than the 23rd. We are aware they've asked us to do a ribbon cutting, which we've offered to do in their behalf. That's scheduled for 10 o'clock on Friday the 26th, so we will do an official ribbon cutting with them. We're excited to have them in our community. We think it's going to be a really neat thing, and I know there's a lot of interest, and we really believe they're going to do quite well here. So move on to next item, QPR training. This is a training, suicide prevention training. We did it a year and a half ago at the Senior Center. We're going to do it again on Thursday night, the 25th, 6 o'clock p.m. Deputy Mike Assinger from Weber County Sheriff's Office is going to lead the presentation. This is something that's all around us. I know the police deal with it a few times a week from what I see and talking with Chief Brinkman. It's just something that's happening continually. I think Weber County Sheriff, they told us last time they were dealing with about one a day, that they were called on somebody going to commit suicide. So nobody's immune. Doesn't matter who you are, where you live, how much money you got. It's the thing that we're dealing with. So we just invite you to come to that, maybe help get the word out to people, and invite them to come. Sewer District, we had, just for your information, last night the Central Weber Sewer District met and the board met, and this time of year they always look at fee increases and possible property tax increases. And they have financial advisors. They're financial advisor based on how things are going there with expenses and what's coming up in the future. They're looking again, asking again for a 2% fee increase for the cities. And so the board last night tentatively approved. The budget hasn't been approved, but we okayed a 2% sewer increase. That's across the board for the county. So we'll probably see that. The question on the property tax thing, that didn't come up this year. They felt like, well, in fact, the general manager there said there was opposition last year about raising both, and there was 2 or 3 of us last year. I've told you in the one meeting we had recently and before, but they raised the fees and then they raised the property taxes at the same time, and I just think that's kind of a hidden thing. People don't realize what they're paying for their sewer service. So they didn't propose that this time. They made the fees sufficient where they figured they were getting enough to maintain what their needs were there. So you can expect to see that. I brought the information back, and it'll also be mailed to the city from the sewer district once that's all finalized. Landslide report, we don't have that on the agenda this evening. Ben Erickson from the Utah State Geological Service was going to be here this evening, but again was unable to be here. And he's the geologist that's been working our landslide issue, but we expect to have him here probably the first or second meeting in November, and he'll probably give a pretty good rundown on what's going on. And if we have that, Steve, I'm not sure that probably isn't a problem with providing current information. So city administrator report next. City administrator, again, he's out of state. Do you have any questions regarding his report this evening? Okay. Move on to consent items. Consideration to approve the meeting minutes from our city council work session and city council regular session on September 18th, and also the city council work session and regular session on October 2nd. Is there any changes or corrections to those minutes? Okay, thank you. We could get a motion then to approve the consent items.
Motion to approve consent items?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Move on to discretionary items. Do we have any discretionary items from the council this evening? Okay, thank you. With that, we need a motion to adjourn from this meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, got a motion, we got a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned. We'll move now into our city RDA board meeting.